Welcome to Inside Evil Interrogations. Today, we examine the police interrogation of Terri-Lynne McClintic, the woman involved in one of Canada's most chilling crimes, the abduction and brutal murder of 8-year-old Tori Stafford in 2009. Alongside her boyfriend Michael Rafferty, McClintic lured Tori away from her school, leading to a horrifying series of events that culminated in the young girl's tragic death in a secluded field. In this episode, we'll delve deep into McClintic's disturbing police interrogation, where detectives sought to unravel her involvement in this sickening crime. This particular case stands out for its sheer brutality and the psychological manipulation that McClintic used to justify her actions. We'll explore her shifting narrative, her emotional responses, and the techniques employed by detectives to expose the full scope of her participation in Tori Stafford's tragic fate. The interrogation opens with Terri-Lynne McClintic being prompted to reveal more about her role in the murder of Tori Stafford. Detectives emphasize that she has been 98% honest, encouraging her to complete the puzzle. What we observe here is a suspect employing classic avoidance tactics. McClintic admits that she turned away during certain key moments, highlighting her psychological avoidance of guilt. By not directly witnessing the worst aspects of the crime, she may have tried to protect herself emotionally, a behavior sometimes seen in individuals with psychopathic tendencies who want to maintain their internal moral image. As a forensic expert, this reflects McClintic's struggle with cognitive dissonance, where her actions don't align with her self-perception. By acknowledging some details but not others, she compartmentalizes the brutality of the crime, distancing herself mentally from the horrific acts to avoid full emotional confrontation.
Okay? Because the problem you've got is you're going to have to try and get people to believe that you were only a few feet away from that car, didn't hear, didn't see, didn't notice anything about how Mike got blood all over him and Tori is nowhere to be seen, okay? And I think it goes right back to what you've said a few times. You didn't want to see it, okay? But that doesn't change the fact that you saw it. Okay, and that's what you need to be truthful about. And I know it's hard to talk about. I know it's even harder to talk about than the sex part of it, okay? But you saw it, okay? You know you saw it. And we need to talk about that, okay? That's the last piece of the puzzle. You've been 98% honest with me, okay? And I really do appreciate that, Terry, okay?
I understand where I'm at, like,
Pardon?
I said, I understand where I'm at, like, he said it's fucking hard as hell for me to go over.
Okay, but we need to go over it. So you need to take a deep breath, and we need to go over that, all right? So let's talk about that, okay? So what happens?
First of all, like, I want to, everything that I've said, like, I haven't bullshit,
I know.
Like,
I know that. Okay.
when I said I turned my head a lot, like, and that was the biggest deal, it's like, I see bits and pieces and that's it, like, when I seen Mike with Tori on his lap, like, I turned my head, because I didn't want to see it, I could hear her calling my name, like,
So tell me what happened.
after I took her to go to the washroom, there was garbage bags outside the car, like there was garbage bags outside the car door on the ground. I'm trying to just picture. I just know I don't want to picture it all again, but I'm trying to picture it so I can explain it.
Okay.
Like, so bear with me. When I handed Tori back over to Mike, I walked like the rear way of the vehicle, like, was that pretty much like I could see if I if I looked, I could see I could see him. If he stepped out of the car, I could have seen him. Essentially, what it comes down to is I see him. I see him Tori on the ground.
Okay.
Bear with me here.
Take your time.
And like every now and then I look back to see, like, in reality, when I started, like, when that whole situation, we ended up in a laneway. Like, I look back every now and then just to see if, like, he was still with us. Like I could hear her, but I needed to know that she was. I knew she wasn't okay. Like,
Tori's on the ground.
yeah, on the ground. I could hear, like, I could hear her. I see her on the ground. I turned my head away again. I could hear her, like, the sound of her voice, like, just grow fainter. I could hear her, like, moaning, like. I remember hearing the rustle of garbage bags. Like,
Okay, Terri, let's talk about what you saw. Okay, you can't have your back turned like that, right? You saw this. Okay, this isn't a matter of what you heard. Right? Let's talk about what you saw. Right? You're concerned about this little girl. Right? You're not going to turn your back on her. Right? Okay, we need to talk about the things you saw. This can come out quickly. You know what? You know how I look at these situations like this, Terri? Because people have to talk to me about these things quite often, right? And I look at this as like taking off a Band-Aid, right? You can do it quickly and get it done, right? You just keep pulling it for a little bit at a time, and that's what hurts, right? That's what you're going through right now. We need to just tear that Band-Aid off, okay? Just tell me what you saw, okay?
I seemed like you kick her a couple times, like, garbage bag over her head. I didn't have a clear, like, sight of Tori. Like, I could see Mike before I could see anything of Tori. Like, used to hammer.
Where did he hit her with the hammer?
And she had a garbage bag over, so there wasn't afterwards. Like, it's pretty much what made it easiest. Like, he knew what he was doing. Like, there was no like blood splatter. Like,
Okay. So he hits her in the head with the hammer, right? And then what happens?
he had the garbage bags. Like, he had garbage bags. He had access to garbage bags. Like, I'm not 100% on whether or not he went to the trunk and grabbed them, or whether he already had them in the back seat with him. He started to put garbage bags over her feet, like from the bottom, and then over the top of her, like, I'm pretty sure there was like maybe 2-3 garbage bags he used.
At this stage of the interrogation, McClintic begins recounting the murder in more detail, admitting to seeing Tori on the ground, wrapped in garbage bags, while Mike kicks her. This is a significant moment in the interrogation, as McClintic starts providing more explicit details of her involvement. The inclusion of the garbage bags suggests a calculated effort to conceal evidence, which aligns with behaviors seen in individuals attempting to cover their tracks post-crime. Here, we see McClintic grappling with what forensic psychologists refer to as moral disengagement. By focusing on the mechanical aspects of the murder, such as the use of the hammer and garbage bags, she distances herself from the emotional gravity of the act, treating it as a practical task rather than a heinous crime.
Again, that's at that point in time, like
Okay. So he wraps her up in garbage bags, right?
like I said, and then from that point, like that was the last time of me seeing Tori. Was when she was beside that car.
Terry, now we're 99%. Okay. You guys didn't leave Tori there, right? You took everything with you, including Tori, and you know that.
No, we didn't. Like, I know that.
Terry, listen to me for a second, okay? All right? It doesn't make any sense. You've got a girl wrapped up in garbage bags right beside the door. You have to get in to get in that car.
Tori, and I know that. Like, I didn't. When I see that, what happened? Tori didn't come with us. Like, 100% on that.
Terry, listen to me for a second, okay? I don't know why you don't want to tell me, okay? But you need to tell me the truth about where Tori ended up.
I am.
She didn't stay in that field. She didn't.
Yes, she did. I'm not.
Terry, listen. It doesn't make you any more guilty.
I know that.
To help him
I
get
know
rid of her
that.
body. It doesn't. Okay? Alright? This is already the most serious charge. It doesn't get worse. Okay?
I'm aware of that. I'm not here for anything for myself. I'm not.
But that's why we need to talk about the fact that he doesn't think Tori lying there.
Yes, he did. We did.
So, where did all this blood come from?
Again, I didn't watch the whole. I look back time and time again. I seen him with her on his lap. Tori on the ground. Like,
When she's on the ground, how is she lying? On her back or her front?
I'm pretty sure it was. Whoever said I want to say front, like, for the. I'm trying to think. Like, her legs were, like, kind of, like, not sprawled, just, like, I don't know how to describe them, like, they're just. Like, similar to, like, the fetal position, like.
Was she still alive when you saw her like that?
Yeah, like, she's still moving.
Was she talking?
I don't know, like, I could hear moaning, that was it. I couldn't look long, like, it looked.
How many times did he hit her with the hammer?
I specifically only saw him hit her a couple of times. And then I took, obviously, like, I took the hand and I couldn't, I had to handle the whole hand.
When he was hitting her, is the garbage bag just over her head or the other garbage bag on her body?
Just over her head.
So when did the other garbage bags get on her body?
A few minutes later.
Did he make you help him do that? Terry?
Yeah.
He made you help him do that, didn't he? And what did you have to do?
Held open the garbage bags. Held open the garbage bags. The ground, the garbage bag was laying there, like, open. I held it open. But at the bottom part of her head, I couldn't see her head or anything. Like,
Did you see any blood on her body?
just around her, like, mostly her, like, around her crotch area again, like, from, there's no, like, no wounds or anything on her body, like, I couldn't see her head or at this garbage bag.
Was there anything used?
No, not to the best that I got. Like I said, not to the best. I don't remember there being any tape or anything.
Terry, you know that you're not. And first of all, I want to tell you this, okay? And this has been 5 days that you've held up here, okay? That you've been so brave, okay? And I appreciate that, right? I know that was hard for you to talk about, okay? But we need to put that last piece of the puzzle, okay? All right? We need to bring her home.
I know that. That's why I've been here. Like, I'm not. Tori was left at that spot. Put rocks over her, like.
How many rocks did you put over her?
Like 3 or 4. So it's the edge of the rock pile. Like, not kind of like this edge of the rock pile, like where the front of the car is here. Kind of like, it's like on an angle. Let's say this is the front of the car.
Mm-hmm.
The angle's kind of like that. There's the edge of the rock pile. There's a tree beside the rock pile, right on the edge. There's a lot of brush around, I looked, I seen him. Just tossed her, she was just a piece of garbage. Again, I looked away. Each time that I felt a point of tears a lot. I didn't want him to see that. I didn't want him to see any of that. I didn't know what.
I can remember getting any blood on you because you were helping putting her in the bags and stuff from her crotch or anything?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
So when he put these rocks on her, did he make you help you do that? Did he make you help you do that too? Do you remember lifting up rocks and putting them on her?
I didn't, I lifted a rock.
During this segment, McClintic goes into the logistics of the murder, describing how she handed Tori back to Rafferty and avoided looking at what was happening. This form of willful blindness is a psychological defense mechanism. By refusing to watch, McClintic tries to lessen her own culpability in the crime. However, her detailed recollection of sounds and sights contradicts this passive stance, indicating that she was fully aware of the crime, but trying to minimize her emotional involvement. This stage is pivotal, as McClintic starts to expose the cracks in her defense. She expresses her discomfort with the events, but at the same time, acknowledges more intimate knowledge of the crime. This reflects an internal struggle between her desire to appear less culpable and the inescapable reality of her involvement.
I threw it, I just threw it. I couldn't bring myself to go very close, I guess.
And how did he make you do these things? What did he say to you?
I asked him as far as he was. Basically, that was what it was at. He said, "You're in it just as far as I am."
Now, when those rocks are on top of her, can you still see her?
I could see him in the garbage bag, and that was it. I couldn't see her.
Yeah. So, when you picture the rock pile,
Yeah.
okay? Let's say this is the car, okay? And this is the rock pile, okay? Front of the car is pointing this way, right?
Yeah.
And the road is back here,
Yeah.
okay? And you've come up this little path and you've turned this way,
Yeah.
behind the rock pile.
Yeah.
Okay. When she's on the ground and he hits her with the hammer, where is she in this little...
Still right by the car, still right by the rear passenger side.
And when you put her in the garbage bags, where is she then?
Still there.
Okay. And where does she move to?
Garbage, the rock. There's a rock pile.
Okay. Is she put on top of other rocks, or is she put right beside the rock pile?
Rock pile. Since it was a rock pile, I remember it being pretty level, it was a rock pile, and they both, the sides came down an angle, just pile gradually thinned out, right on, it was right near the edge of it. Rocks were thrown on
Okay. So she's put beside the rock pile, and the rocks are put on top of her.
her. Like I said, pretty much right on the edge of it, part of it, but not quite,
Now, how big are these rocks? bring it back, okay? Some paper here, we'll go over that in a few minutes or so. So she's beside the rock pile, right? And how big are the rocks?
Like they're like decent sized rocks, like I don't know, like probably I don't know, like this big, like.
Do you remember the rock pile we were by the other day?
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at that rock pile, what was different between that rock pile and the rock pile that you guys stopped beside that day?
The way like the way that tree was, but
No, I'm just talking about
Just
the
the
pile of
rock?
rocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like shape of it, like it was really really similar. Like I think the rock pile that we stopped was higher though.
Okay. What about the size of the rocks?
Pretty close to that, yeah.
So is there anything different between the rock pile you guys stopped at and the rock pile that you and I stopped at that day, other than that the rock pile you guys stopped at was a little bit bigger?
That's like the really what everything like I can recall. Not a whole lot, no.
When you guys were there, okay, and you put the rocks on her, or even before you put the rocks on her, is there any discussion about what should be done with her? Does anybody say we should take her with us or not take her with us or anything?
It was not that I can recall.
Here's the problem I've got, Terry, okay? Right? If you're going to leave her there, why are you putting her in garbage bags?
I don't know why. No idea.
Terry, I want you to understand something, okay? You're not going to be in any more trouble.
I know that. I'm
Because
well aware of that.
Because you moved her body. Okay, you're not.
I didn't know this. What I'm saying is like,
As a matter of fact, if you moved her body, you can take us there. People are going to see that you're somebody that one day.
I know that. I didn't. Tori was there. That was it. I kind of.
Has Mike ever talked to you about the fact that he was going to go back and move her later?
No, he never said anything to me about ever going back.
Let's do a little sketch here, okay? Okay. So before we do this, okay, so we don't have to draw it all over again, is there anything about that sketch you gave me the other day that you want to change?
No, aside like I said, aside from some of the brush that was around, I guess.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to step up for a second and we'll get that sketch. Okay. So you take a look at it and just tell me. Fair enough? All right. I'm back in a second.
So do I get a school?
Yeah, I think you do that. Okay.
By this point, McClintic begins revealing more about how the murder took place, mentioning the use of a hammer to kill Tori. What's crucial here is the way she relays the details. There is an eerie, emotional detachment in her tone as she speaks about the weapon and the repeated blows. This kind of cold, matter-of-fact recounting often suggests deep-seated psychological disturbances, where the individual has suppressed normal emotional responses to trauma. Her shifting narrative also points to a defense strategy. By admitting to certain details and avoiding others, she is attempting to manage the interrogation while avoiding full accountability. This selective recollection indicates an understanding of the gravity of the situation, but a refusal to fully engage with her own responsibility, a hallmark of individuals with antisocial tendencies.
Glass ashtray. look at that, Terry. And, is that the map you drew the other day, first of all?
Yes, it is.
That's a photocopy of it, obviously. Yeah. So maybe what we could do is there now that you've had, I mean, you drew this, I think, on Wednesday morning, if I remember right. Now you've been driving around and thinking, for a few more days. Is there anything about this depiction here that you want to change or adjust?
Space between the road and the house. A little bit more space, like it wasn't right on the road. Like it's pretty much right on the road, but not. There's a bit of land between that and the house.
Sure. So it's not like that on the road where the cars are going to drive into the corner of the house.
Yes.
Right? All right. Okay. So there's a little bit of lawn there.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm just teasing you.
I know.
All right. So what we're going to do is let's draw. I'm not going to mark up this page, but we're going to just focus on this page here. Okay. So best you can, just draw where the car was, where that rock pile was, anything else around it that you think is important. Okay.
Yeah, I can start with like the laneway, like.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was the biggest jump out. Like I know the way that was, and it was like so. We're gonna say this is the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right there's the road. Laneway like was basically about as wide as the car. It wasn't much wider. There was maybe like an inch or two between the car and off the edge of the laneway.
Mm-hmm.
The laneway was like a little. It sunk in a bit. Like it dropped in a little bit and then came back up. Dropped in. I can't really draw that from.
It's okay.
It kind of came and dropped in a bit and came back up. Like pretty much just about right off the road. Like not right off the road. Like there was kind of like just kind of halfway from where like laneway may have gone in more, but it's. I know, like the only part that wasn't covered,
Mm-hmm.
like that was still was able to drive on was the part that we were on, and just kind of went off like a rock pile is like here. I don't know how to really draw rocks, but probably like the car was parked like here. There's no trees. Like I don't remember any trees right at this end of the rock pile. There was trees here, and there's like
How many trees?
there was a couple like a lot that didn't have branches. Like there was, or a lot that didn't have leaves. There's a couple of like pine trees around it. Again, I don't really know how you want me to draw.
Okay. So would there be more than 10 trees? Less than 10 trees?
No less than 10, I can say. I'm not gonna doubt. There was quite a few like around like this side, not on this side. Over here was like open field. There was like the fence, like fallen down fence that kind of started. It's kind of a little random, like the way it started. Kind of started just randomly,
Mhm.
and then it went on. And there's more open field out this way. Trees over here. Like there's. I don't know. Maybe I should. Sorry, I'll try and write.
It's okay.
Like sporadically, like they were sporadically set. Like it wasn't. There's maybe a tree along the fence line. Again, they didn't have leaves. There was like, pretty much it looked like this road went out into the field. Like that's what it looked like. It looked like drivable. Like that's about as much as was drivable.
Mhm.
Where it sunk in, like the creek that went under, like this kind of like opened up, like started. There was like kind of swampy, like it looked swampy, really.
The tension escalates as McClintic becomes more descriptive, talking about the body being placed near a rock pile and covered with stones. This method of body disposal shows a clear intent to conceal the crime, reflecting premeditation and careful planning. McClintic's participation in this part of the crime is critical, as it showcases her active involvement in the post-murder cover-up, undermining her earlier narrative of passivity. From a forensic perspective, her descriptions of the scene show an attempt to mentally compartmentalize the event, breaking it down into manageable tasks rather than facing the full horror of what was done to the victim. Her emotional distancing continues as a central theme, indicative of someone trying to suppress the weight of their guilt.
Did that on both sides, like, it kind of went for a little bit, and there's like a lot of kind of cattail looking sort of things, like just like the leafy part, like that's, you know, when you go by a swamp, it's like the old like leafy looking things that are sticking out of there, like it. There's some trees along like the side here, like on the, like maybe bush trees, and not 100% again. Trees like on the other side of the rock pile.
So, are those trees hiding the car from the road, or is it just the rock pile?
The trees were helping with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and so just draw me out the front and back of the car then.
Okay, so probably about. Again, I'm not like, obviously not going to be like 100% on. If this is another rock pile. Like I said, it like kind of like I went in like that, and there's trees right here, like trees surrounding it, like on this side.
Okay.
Again, like branchless trees. I don't know. Do you want me to like try and like label what I'm drawing here? So.
Well, you've already written there's trees there, right? So there's trees between the rock pile and the road, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I could from over here. You couldn't see the house. Like you couldn't get a clear view of the house
Because of the trees?
because of the trees. And from like I said, from over here though, like I could see the house pretty much directly on. The house is like directly the laneway that it pulled into was pretty much the house was like right there.
Okay.
The driveway of the house was more. It went uphill a bit, kind of curved a little bit, maybe like open like that. Sorry, I'm kind of going on to another piece here, but.
Well, just try to draw it on the same page. That's okay. You've got it on this one already. So why don't we focus on the rock pile and the car? Okay. So when you first see Tori on the ground, where is she?
Back door here.
Okay. And that line you just drew out from the car, that's the door?
That's the door.
Okay. And that circle beside the car is Tori with a T in it?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Tori's on the ground, right? And I can't remember, did you say she was on her stomach or on her back or side?
Kind of, like, I don't really, kind of on the back, like her feet were kind of like that, but she was kind of like on her back.
Okay. And which way were her feet? Towards the front of the car or back of the car?
Back of the car. Feet were like here.
Okay. So her feet are towards the back?
Yeah.
And her head is towards
the door, like right by the door, is really close to the door.
Okay. So her head is towards the front of the car, but behind the open rear passenger door?
Yes.
Okay. And how does she get there? Like, you said that when you walked away last, that she'd gone back into the car with Mike.
So I gave her back to Mike. It's kind of like I said, I didn't watch everything. Like, Mike had her on his lap. I could hear Tori calling out for me. T, please make him stop. I wanted to walk towards. I wanted to go to her. I wanted to just take her away from him. I couldn't. I don't know why, but I couldn't. I couldn't even. I could barely look at it. I couldn't see it. Like I said, I started over here when Mike was still on, when she was still on Mike's lap. I wanted to walk towards her. Initially, when I took her over to the washroom, I walked back out this direction. I took her over the washroom, probably right around there. I didn't go very far. Yeah.
Okay, why don't you write a W where you think she went to the washroom?
I was holding her hand. She was with me. She was good. She was great. She wasn't scared of me. She wasn't.
And at that point, she only had a top on?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that the same with Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was still sitting in the car. He didn't get out of the car at that point in time.
Now, I know you said he had no pants and no underwear on. Did he have socks or shoes on at that point?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Okay. So Tori comes back to the car, all right, and she gets into the car with Mike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What specific sex acts took place between Mike and Tori?
That I saw?
Yeah.
Mike was sitting like this in the car seat, with his feet out the back door. Tori on his lap. Just sitting he was sitting. There's a couple he turned her around maybe a couple times. It wasn't quick.
So if his feet are outside the door, is Tori inside the car or outside the car?
She's inside the car. His feet are hanging out. She's not. Really. So his feet are he's kind of leaning back a bit, upright still, leaning against. It's hard to. I'm trying to describe it best.
Okay, and they're both naked from the waist down, right? And what do you understand the sex act between them to be?
Not really big on. I don't really know names of positions, things like that.
Okay, but where was his penis?
Vaginal.
Did you see his penis go into her vagina?
No, but when I took her to the washroom, like I said, she had blood, she was bleeding a bit,
So she was already bleeding when she went to the washroom? Okay. Okay, so now she's lying on the ground here. How did she get from inside the car, where she's sitting on Mike's lap, to the point where she's lying on the ground?
I'm not 100% on. I saw her with him. I started to try to walk, she was calling out to me. I tried to walk towards her, and I could only take a couple steps in the direction. I couldn't walk anymore. I felt like I walked into a wall. And then I walked off to this direction, off to the side, so I could see the house. He told me to check, make sure nobody was looking at the house. I looked, and then I turned. I looked around. I looked out at the field, and I looked back. Like I said, I could hear Tori, her voice going. She went from her saying T, tell him, make him stop. Sorry. To faint, I could hear her mumbling, and it almost sounded when you breathe underwater, the bubbly. It sounded like I could hear that. And then when I turned back around, that's when Tori was on the ground. I didn't see him put her there.
In the final section of the interrogation, McClintic's demeanor shifts slightly, showing a mixture of resignation and cooperation. she agrees to help the detectives by recounting further details about the crime scene and her participation. This shift in tone may reflect the realization that the evidence against her is overwhelming, and cooperation is her only option. What is clear from the end of the interrogation is that McClintic, despite trying to minimize her involvement, was deeply complicit in the crime. Her recollections show that she was present for the entirety of the murder and assisted in its aftermath. Her emotional flatness throughout suggests either a deep desensitization to violence or a conscious suppression of her feelings to cope with the guilt.
When you first saw her on the ground, did you see her whole body, or what did you see?
Head from neck, like from here down.
Why?
Because her head was covered in a garbage bag.
Okay. So her head's got the garbage bag on already. Does she have a shirt on?
I don't think so.
Where's Mike at that point?
Standing, like he was leaning into the car. I don't know, he was grabbing something, I'm gonna assume. Like he was standing outside of the car. Just like right outside of it, leaning into the car, leaning over. And like I kept looking back every couple minutes I'd look back. I couldn't look for a long period of time. Like my stomach, like.
But you said you saw him hit her in the head with the hammer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this way I could hear.
And what point did he kick her?
Before the hammer even came out, like just about pretty much when I first seen her on the ground.
And how hard did he kick her?
Like he booted her.
How many times?
I know it was more than once. Like I said, I couldn't. When I seen him do it, like the first time, I couldn't watch. I couldn't just look at her. I could hear something going on in the back. I could hear the crinkle of the garbage bag. I could hear her.
Remember how he said that he told you that he was doing this so you guys could do this in this together? Okay. Did he make you kick her or hit her?
No.
No?
No.
So he hits her with the hammer, and is that when, does she keep moving after that, or?
I didn't hear a moan after that, nothing.
And then you helped with the garbage bags, right? And then where do you, like, how do you move her? Like, how do you the two of you get her moved?
Not sure. Again, just bear with. This is easy for me to go over again.
You know.
After we put the garbage bags on her, like I pretty much stood there. Like it felt like I was fucking retarded. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. He started to lift up her upper body, and I just stood there. And he looked at me like all pissed off. Like, hurry up! Like, what are you doing? You gotta help me move her. You gotta help me move her. So I picked. At the bottom where her feet were. Walked her over. Just tossed. Just tossed me.
Okay. And where does she land?
Just off the edge of the, like, just right semi on, but off of the edge of the end of the rock pile.
Okay.
There's a tree, like right here.
Okay. And where does her body go in comparison to the tree?
right in between the tree and the edge of the rock pile.
Okay, can you draw an arrow to that? And maybe right, is that her head or her feet that are at that end?
No, like I can see. I don't know.
Okay, maybe just write T for Tori. And then how many rocks do you think you guys put on it?
I only grabbed, like, to the best of my knowledge, like, I only remember grabbing the one rock, and I tossed it. I couldn't bring myself to go close. Like, I was probably standing, grabbed it probably, like, off the edge, and I just tossed it. He was over here, like, closer, right by the tree in the rock pile, like, right, pretty much, like, right next to her.
And how many rocks do you think he put on it?
I want to say like 4, give or take. Like,
Okay.
they said I could only bear it. Like, I could only bear it to look for so long. Like, just little periods. I look.
And then you walked away from, you could still see portions
Of the garbage bag. Just the garbage bag sticking out by the tree.
Okay. Okay. So Terry, I'm just going to run through this one more time, okay? And you stop me if I misunderstood anything, all right? It starts with Mike and Tori in the front, right? You're out of the car after you've seen Mike trying to get himself hard, right? You get out of the car. Tori's, they end up going into the back seat,
Yeah.
right? Tori's calling for you, says she has to go to the washroom. So you take her hand and you walk her over here, and she goes to the washroom, right? And you said at that point there was blood on her crotch?
Yes.
Okay. You bring her back to Mike, and he's sitting with his feet outside the rear passenger door on the seat.
Yeah.
Tori's on his lap, facing away from him, and you understand that they're having intercourse.
Yes.
You walk away. After how long do you think that was?
How long do I think what was that I walked?
From the time you bring her back to Mike after using the washroom to the time you see her on the ground?
Like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. So, what are you doing during those 10 or 15 minutes?
Just trying to take in my surroundings. Like I said, I glanced back a couple times. Like, I could hear her calling me. I tried after I gave her back to Mike after I took her to the washroom and I walked away the second time. I could hear her calling out for me, saying, "T, make him stop. T." Like, my nephew calls me TT. Like,
You come back.
I tried to walk back towards her. Like I said, I wanted to grab her, just take her away from him. I can only take a couple steps, and I felt like I walked into a brick wall. I could see him with her on his lap, her struggling, and I just turned away again. I walked towards the suite. He yelled out to me to check out the house. I checked out the house. I turned away again, and I looked out at the field. I paced a lot. Like, I was pacing back and forth from like here, this area. Like, I kept pacing.
So when you look back, you see her on the ground. Okay. She's kind of lying on her back, but her legs are off to the side.
Yeah.
Right. Her feet are towards the back of the car. Her head's towards the front, but it's behind the open rear passenger door of the car.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what that line is?
Yeah.
Okay. She's got a garbage bag over her head. Right. Did you say that you saw Mike kick her?
Yeah.
Saw her?
Yeah, and when I turned, he was like this. I'm trying to get into like as much detail as I can. So
It's okay. If you don't remember, you don't remember. Where do you think Mike kicked her? What part of her body?
Ribs, her rib area.
Okay.
Okay, I saw him kick her a couple of times.
And is that before or after he reached into the car?
Before.
Okay.
They, like, a couple side just normal kicks. There was like a stomp, like.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure how many times. Like I looked back a couple of times, and he was.
And then he hits her in the head with a hammer?
I seen like I said, I'm going to. I didn't watch the whole thing. I seen him swing. Initially, I remember the way the hammer was facing, but I couldn't. He started swinging forward. I couldn't. I'm not sure. I don't know whether I closed my eyes, whether I turned. I couldn't.
What do you think he hit her with a hammer?
In the head, because there was no. When I went over it, when I helped him, when I held the bags for him, he was bagging Tori. Like she was in one piece. There was no marks on her body. Like it was.
Okay. So her body goes inside these bags, right?
Yeah.
How many bags do you think he used to put her inside?
2, 3 maybe.
Okay. And then you lift her up by her feet. He lifts her up by her upper body.
Yeah. He had majority of the weight on him.
Okay. You carry her around the front of the car.
Yeah.
And you guys toss her, and she lands between the front of the rock pile, right?
Yeah.
And this tree.
Yes.
Okay. And then you put one rock on her and might put some other ones on.
Yes.
And you can still see a little bit of the garbage bag.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Can I ask you to just initial on there for me?
Okay, I can just. I don't know. I can't stress enough. Like I don't want you guys. Like I don't want you guys to think that I didn't lie to you guys about when I started telling you guys about this. It was like I said. I tried to put it out of my mind. I didn't.
Why did you decide to tell me this today?
Because I know Tori got left there, and I know that. And I want her to be able to be brought home.
Is there anything about what happened today or in the last 5 days or in the other previous interviews with the police made you feel forced or into telling me this today?
No.
Okay. Did you tell me this because you wanted to?
Yes. Okay. In all reality, like I would love nothing more than be able to just say it all at the beginning. As you can imagine, like, listen, everything came in bits and pieces back. Like, I tried to push it out of my mind. I constantly, like, when I was at the custody facility, I talked to them about Mike, and I was like, yeah, he was constantly drilled in my head that he was a nice guy, you know, that when he came for a visit, staff made comments, wow, good for you, Terry. Like, it just.
So on Tuesday, when you and I talked at first,
Yeah.
you knew you were holding back, right? Right?
Yeah, right.
So Terry, right now, is there anything else you're holding back? Because we might as well get it done now. We got the tears going. Everything's happening now. I don't want to have to put you through this again.
I don't want to. I'll go through it.
Is there anything else? When I go away and I evaluate everything that's happened today, and I start looking at it with the experts that are going to help me assess your credibility, am I going to have to come back and say, Terry, there's something that's missing here?
No. No. If everything, they've thrown everything out, like everything, they've laid it all out. That's it.
Terri-Lynne McClintic's police interrogation reveals a disturbing portrait of a woman who was fully complicit in one of Canada's most heinous child murders. Throughout the interrogation, McClintic attempts to present herself as a reluctant participant, using strategies of avoidance, moral disengagement, and selective memory to manage her guilt. However, her detailed recounting of the crime scene and her passive participation in the murder's aftermath paint a much darker picture, one of a deeply disturbed individual who was more involved in the crime than she initially admitted. Stay tuned to Inside Evil Interrogations as we continue to analyze the minds of criminals through their own words, exposing the psychological mechanisms at play in their confessions and interviews.